I married at 23. At 50, I realized what marriage really means. I was 23 years old when I got married, confident in love, absolutely certain I understood what I was doing. For the next 27 years, I showed up, paid the bills, never cheated, never left. And yet, at 50, sitting across from the woman I had built an entire life with, I felt something that stopped me cold. I realized I had never truly seen her, not because she was hiding, because I never learned how to look. Who I was at 23, I thought love was a feeling you either had or you didn't. I had it. She was beautiful, kind, and she believed in me before I believed in myself. That felt like enough. Nobody told me that the feeling is just the entrance door. What's inside the house? That's something you build, or neglect, for decades. Here's something I wish someone had shown me before that wedding day. The human brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex, is not fully developed until age 25. I was 23, making the biggest decision of my life, with a brain that was literally still under construction. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm using it as context, because millions of people marry young and wonder why it gets so hard. Part of the answer is biological. We simply aren't equipped yet to fully understand what we're choosing. I chose with my heart. There's nothing wrong with that. But I had no tools for what came next. Time lapse of ordinary life, mornings, kids, commutes, dinners. Our 20s and 30s were busy, beautifully, dangerously busy. Careers, a first home, children. Every year had a goal, a milestone, a finish line to cross. I was present. Physically, I was always there. But emotionally, I was somewhere else. I didn't know that then. I thought showing up was the same as being there. I thought providing was the same as connecting. Dr. John Gottman, a psychologist who has studied couples for over 40 years, found something that shook me when I read it. The number one predictor of a failing marriage isn't fighting. It isn't money problems or differences in personality. It's contempt. And just below it, emotional dismissal. Not yelling, not cruelty, just the slow habit of making your partner feel invisible. I was doing this. Every time she wanted to talk about something that felt small to me and I half listened. Every time she said, "I just need you to hear me," and I responded with a solution instead of presence. Every birthday where I showed up but wasn't there. We weren't fighting. The house was calm. I mistook silence for happiness. It wasn't happiness, it was distance, slowly becoming the new normal. A dinner table, 2 people, nothing to say, wide shot. The 40s arrived and the house got quieter. Kids got older. Schedules changed, and suddenly, without any dramatic event, without any betrayal, we were 2 people living parallel lives inside the same walls. Gottman's research also shows something called the second dip. Marital dissatisfaction doesn't just peak once around year 7. It peaks again, harder, around year 20. We hit it right on schedule, neither of us knowing it had a name. I remember one dinner, a Thursday, nothing special. We sat across from each other, and I genuinely could not find a single thing to say. Not because we were angry, because somewhere across those 20 years, we had stopped updating our knowledge of each other. I still knew who she was at 28. I had no idea who she was at 45. She had changed, grown actually, in ways that were remarkable, and I had missed it. Not because I wasn't there, because I wasn't paying attention. That night, for the first time, I felt afraid. I thought about leaving. I'll be honest about that. Not for someone else, just leaving, starting over, breathing different air. And then I asked myself a question that changed everything. Am I running from her or from myself? The answer was so obvious it hurt. Night, a living room, low light, real. A few months later, something happened. She got sick. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough to stop everything. Suddenly, the calendar was empty, and it was just the 2 of us. No distractions, no schedules, nowhere to perform, being fine. One night she told me something she had been holding for years. She said, "I stopped telling you the real things a long time ago, not because you were cruel, because you always seemed somewhere else. And I got tired of feeling like I was interrupting your real life." I didn't defend myself. For the first time in 27 years, I just sat with what she said. Gottman calls it bids for connection. Every single day, people in relationships make small emotional bids, a comment, a look, a reach for the hand, and every day, their partner either turns toward that bid, turns away, or turns against it. Over a lifetime, those micro moments compound. She had been making bids for decades. I had been turning away, not with malice, but with absence. The account was empty, and she had been quietly grieving that for years, while I thought everything was fine. That night was the most important conversation of our marriage. Not because it felt good, it didn't. Because it was finally real. What marriage actually? So here is what I know now, that I wish I had known at 23. First, marriage is not a feeling. It is a daily practice. The feeling of being in love will come and go across a lifetime. It is not a constant. Waiting for it to return on its own is like waiting for a garden to water itself. The choice to love, actively, intentionally, even on the days the feeling is quiet, that is what a real marriage is made of. Second, you don't marry a person. You marry a version of them. Both of you will become 4 or 5 entirely different people over a lifetime. The 23-year-old you married will become someone new at 35, at 45, at 60. The question is never, are you still the same? The question is, are we still choosing to know each other? Third, conflict is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Couples who fight, respectfully, honestly, outlast couples who never fight. Silence is not peace, it is postponed pain. Fourth, intimacy is built in 2-minute moments, not grand gestures, not anniversaries. It is eye contact over breakfast. It is asking, how are you? And then actually waiting for the real answer. It is remembering what they mentioned last Tuesday that worried them and asking about it on Wednesday. Fifth, and this one is the hardest. You cannot give what you don't have. My emotional absence had nothing to do with how much I loved her. It came from wounds I had carried since long before I met her, patterns from childhood, a belief that being needed was love, that providing was enough, that vulnerability was weakness. I had never examined any of it. I brought all of it into our marriage and called it normal. Harvard's study of adult development, the longest study on human happiness ever conducted, over 85 years, found one thing above everything else. The quality of your close relationships determines the quality of your life, not your income, not your achievements, your relationships. I had spent 27 years building a career and a household. I had underspent on the one thing that mattered most.